Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Laila Ghauri of Antares Law Firm. Laila, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Hey, nice to meet you, and I'm really happy to be here.
Definitely nice to meet you as well, and super excited to have you on the show. And before we jump in, I want to read a little bit more about Laila so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And Laila is a principal attorney and founder of Antares Law Firm, focusing her practice in trademarks, small business advising, and government contracts. Previously, she worked for large firms, including Kelley Drye Warren, government agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, and midsize firms focusing on employment law and civil rights. She devotes her time to her local community and is currently serving as a fellow with the Maryland Pro Bono Resource Center and a dedicated contributor of the DC Bar's Pro Bono services for small businesses and nonprofits. Over the past decade, Laila has taught as a university professor, as a published author, and is currently pursuing her Ph.D. in law and religion. And in her free time, she loves international travel, painting, meditation, and practicing yoga. Laila, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yes, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, let's do it then. So to kind of kick everything off, I just wanted to rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started, what I call your CEO story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things, being a woman, being a person of color in today's sort of climate, I noticed that a lot of my supervisors and partners at the firms I was working for, they didn't look like me, they didn't have a story like mine. And I brought something to the table that sometimes I felt, okay, you know what, I could add value, but I don't know how to market that to my, supervisors. And so I thought, well, you have a skill set and you bring a very unique point of view. Why not try this on your own? And it was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done, but I did it. I took a leap of faith and sort of in my own self. And I said, let's try this. Let's see if I can contribute in a meaningful way to my local communities with the skill sets that I've gained with all this experience at these larger organizations and institutions and corporations. That's how it started. It was sort of, I grew up, let's put it that way. I grew up out of this fear mindset of, I need to be employed with someone who has a brand name company, to, I want to create my own brand and I want to help other people do it. And I also wanted to have relationships, like one-on-one relationships with people. When you're working for large companies, you really never speak to your clients, especially when you're an entry-level person or a low associate. If you're a first-year associate, or you're not going to get that contact. It's very rare. And so it's been really rewarding to talk to the clients that I'm serving and to see my work produce something meaningful in their lives.
Nice. Well, I definitely appreciate you for sharing that, and of course doing the work that you do and being able to kind of have that impact on the community. I appreciate you especially talking about that fear piece, because I think so many times that kind of there's a saying is do it scared as long as you do it, because I think so many times that fear sometimes restricts people from even trying to do something. And I think if we don't talk enough about that, we don't realize that even those people we see and are successful, they might have had that fear, but they did it scared, they did it fearful. And there's some really phenomenal things that come, forth when you take that action.
No, absolutely. I mean, even public speaking used to be one of my biggest fear. Here I am talking to you and I'm like, I don't know how it's happening, but here we are. And so I think you grow as a person when you put yourself in these positions of entrepreneurship. It's you grow as a person significantly. I'm sure you've done it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think so many times we don't realize the power that we have within. But I think if we step out and do those things, whether it be public speaking or starting a business or whatever it might be, we sometimes can astound ourselves. But I think, as you said so well, too, is often the things that we do, the gifts that we have, often innately that we're kind of maybe fearful about sharing, they impact well beyond ourselves. They impact our communities and all the different things that we're doing. So that starts to make it all worth it, as you said so well.
Yeah. You put it even better than I did, so thanks.
No worries at all. I could just repeat it. You're doing the awesome work, so that just makes it a lot easier for me. And so I wanted to drill down a little bit more, hear a little bit more on how you work with your clients. Could you take us through how you serve your clients and what that looks like?
Sure. Yeah. So we're a boutique law practice. What that means is that we are small enough to give our clients one-on-one time. A lot of larger firms, you'll talk to the assistant, you'll talk to the paralegal, maybe you'll get some FaceTime. it's here you get a really enriched experience. You come to us to start a business, we really walk you through the process. We talk to you about everything we're doing. I make sure that I'm talking and responding to my clients, throughout that process as frequently as I can, as humanly possible within reason. And so a lot of times with new startups folks, you've got a lot of nervousness, you've got a lot of questions about taxes and insurance and licensing. And so we make sure that we hear you out, and then we connect you. If we can't answer that question, that we connect you with the right professional. And so that you can go get the services you need, or at least start to shop around and know what to look for. And so that's the added value in terms of actually doing the work for you, but also to kind of educate you on, like, here's what you need as someone who's starting a company in terms of legally. And sometimes we'll also kind of share with our clients third-party vendors, for example, like graphic designers, all the things that you need in today's market. And so we make sure that that sort of individualized care is given to our client. And we get clients from all different kinds of industries. So part of our job is to learn about your industry before we start advising you, especially with licensing. Every industry is different. The restaurants are very different than if you're starting a trucking company, than if you're starting some sort of a publishing company. So it's fun kind of coming to work every day and learning about a new industry and really learning about it so that we can serve our clients, 0 to 100. And then, of course, there's the trademark and soft IP side. And that, again, you can go to a number of people that do that kind of work. Everybody can file a trademark application for you. But the reason you would come to a trademark attorney, someone who has experience in that particular field, is because more than half of trademark applications get rejected. And there are a number of phases that you have to go through. So when shopping for a trademark attorney, you want someone who's patient, someone who's going to sit down and talk you through not just the macroscopic process that the United States Patent and Trademark Office is going to require of you, but also how is that attorney going to ensure that all of these steps have been accounted for, even at the first stage of filing. I think a good trademark attorney is going to tell you, hey, the chances of this actually making it all the way to the end is pretty high. Okay, fine, go for it. Or it's pretty low, but here's how we can do it. And here are all the fees you might incur trying to fight it. And so really being transparent, and having the patience to again, listen and address the particular client's needs, because not all legal services are sort of, every business, every individual has different needs. And so you want to make sure that you're going to an attorney that has the patience and wants to actually figure out, who are you? What's your company? What are your goals? What are your values? And can we serve you? And that's really going to help you work well with an attorney, instead of, I feel like a lot of people just shop for the lowest price point, and then later down the line, when they end up incurring more fees because something did not get filed correctly or something was not advised to them properly, it can become a huge hot mess, to put it simply. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, and I appreciate you for drilling down on that and helping so many clients with that, because I think, as you said, at least this is what I heard, definitely coming up, is when you were working with those larger firms, you were kind of I don't know if the right word is craving, but you really wanted that human interaction, that opportunity to kind of see the impact that you have, and that's what I kind of hear coming out. And what you're saying is you're understanding this is what clients are potentially looking for, maybe some of the questions they might have floating around in their head, and you're trying to make sure that you are patient, you make sure you develop that relationship and give them kind of a lay of the land so that you don't have those hot mess situations down the line. And I love that you're kind of able to do that. Would you consider that to be what kind of sets you apart and makes you unique, and what I like to call your secret sauce?
I think so. I think thus far that would be the secret sauce. And as what I've learned is a business is like an organic entity, like it's a child in a way, it's growing and it's going to show you what it is. And you have one intent for it, it's going to show you what it is. So every year I learn more about my business from my business. I'm learning from the clients, I'm learning from the vendors I'm working with. So far, yes, I think that human one-on-one, people crave it. When you're looking for an attorney, you're a little bit terrified usually, because you're going because something's wrong or you're trying to do something that you don't know how to do. And so you want someone you can trust, someone who's transparent, and so Yeah, I would say that's definitely part of our secret sauce. We're still developing the recipe. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we're always developing the recipe if we're in business. So I love that you mentioned a couple of times that growth word, because I think it's absolutely huge in understanding that, even as, children or even plants or whatever we see that grow, a lot of times we have a vision for what it is, but sometimes it will show you what it will end up being. And it's just important for us to kind of allow it to grow, allow it to manifest itself into what it's going to be, not necessarily restricted. So I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I want to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Right. Gosh, you're going to learn a lot about me today. I think anyone who's trying to do something different needs to really get to know themselves. So having some self-care practices are really important. So entrepreneurship, for me, the way that I have survived and hopefully will thrive is that I meditate every day. I wake up, I get focused. I have a morning routine, and then I start my work that way. And that's not like a legal hack, but that's like a personal life hack. And I think regardless of what industry you're in, having that kind of practice is going to help you thrive, because when you're working for yourself and there's no there's no assurance that, hey, you're going to get paid, yours every day looks different. You're probably your marketing team, you're probably your accountant, you're probably doing everything between that and actually being a lawyer. And you've got to ground yourself. You've got to know, okay, you've got to have stress management, get the right amount of sleep, get physical activity. And so having those self-care routines in your day, I think, is a secret life hack when succeeding in entrepreneurship. You're going to need it. You're going to need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And again, going back to that human aspect of business, I think so many times we try, or people will often try to silo business and my personal life and so on and so forth. But we don't realize that, especially as the engine to our ideas, our mission, our vision, whatever we want for our organization, is so important that we kind of care for ourselves, because it's so much harder. And maybe near impossible to give from an empty cup. So when we don't fill ourselves out, when we don't meditate, as you said so well, but also pay attention to those things and know thyself, then it's really hard to kind of give to others on a really, optimal level, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, it's an exchange of energy. When you're running a business, you're selling a product or service, and people are buying from you, you're exchanging energy. So you've got to get your energy right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So that could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something, if you were to hop into a time machine, you would tell your younger business self, or potentially you might tell a client too.
Yeah. I mean, it's going back to what I was talking about earlier. Have a little faith in yourself. Give it a try.
Yeah,
Do it when you're younger than when you're older. It's take the risk when you can. As you incur more responsibility in your life, and a mortgage, children, whatever, you're gonna be less likely to take the jump. So do it when you're younger, and you have the ability to take the risk and recover more quickly from it if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as we talked about, during this podcast, like it's really big to like understand what entrepreneurship is, what starting a business is, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. Sometimes things go right. Sometimes you want them to grow a certain way, they grow a different way. And I think if we start to understand that, as you said, the younger you do it, the more opportunity you have, the more quote unquote runaway you have potentially before you start to have more and more responsibilities, and you will be less likely to maybe try something like this.
100%. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes, I mean, my mentors, and that's the other thing, find good mentors, really find people who believe in you and will help you build yourself. My mentors, it takes about 5 years to really see it become what it's going to become, and 10 years to become really successful if you can stick with it and grow it. So you have to have the patience, but you've got to have a little bit of faith, guidance, and patience, I guess, is the formula. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And that grounding as well that you mentioned in your hack as well is absolutely huge. And the quote is, the secret to overnight success is it takes 10 years. So it is right in alignment with what you're saying, where you understand the process. And I think that will help people to increase their likelihood of being successful too, when understanding that it's not an overnight success thing. It's a 10-year thing. And it also helps us pick the things that we're truly passionate, not about the things that are just like a quick buck, but truly things that we might be scared about, but we still can kind of maybe do some phenomenal things for ourselves and our business and organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be scared of those numbers. Time passes very quickly.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. You try to slow it down as much as we can, but there's no pause button for life, it seems.
Yeah. We've been in this pandemic for over a year now. Can you believe
Mhm.
it? Wow.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you now my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So, Laila, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Oh gosh, that's such a loaded question. I'm gonna translate that in my head to what does it mean to owning your business and running your own business, and I'm gonna say it means having freedom. With all this stuff we're talking about, like the risk and overcoming the fear. Once you're in your groove and you know your product and your service and you know what you're doing, there is freedom and entrepreneurship in a way that no other career, no other title is going to give you. It doesn't matter what you do. You could be a carpenter. You can you could be a hairdresser. Owning your own business, knowing how to run it, knowing what product you're selling, and having a faithful, sort of loyal group of clients. There's freedom in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you said that, getting into your groove when you start to understand that and how that's a process to get even into that within your business. But I think you said it very, very well. Well, I think that we have that freedom to be able to build the business in the way that we see fit, in the way that we're hoping we're creating an impact. And as you said, when you started, you felt like there was something missing in those opportunities. So you wanted to create something that embodied that had that, it sounds like, core foundation. So you have that freedom to be able to kind of direct that path and that's that boat, and so to speak. So I absolutely appreciate that definition.
I'm glad. Thanks.
No problem. And I appreciate your time even more. And what I wanted to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know, and of course how best they can get hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
You got it. Yeah. So reach out to us at www.antareslawfirm.com. I'm hoping that'll be listed somewhere on your links, but you can find us on Instagram. We're adamant social media folks. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn. Follow us, engage us in conversation on social media. Definitely, you can shoot us an email or fill out our contact form on our website. We do flat fee and payment structures to meet sort of your needs. I understand during the pandemic, our clients are in precarious positions sometimes, especially when they're taking a leap of faith here in themselves, and we're willing to work with you. Let's see, if you want, I can talk a little bit about trademarks. I can talk about trademarks all the time. And I feel like every CEO should know a little bit about trademarks, which is that, so people don't think about it until it becomes relevant. Like some other company has your name and is like, hey, stop using your company name. And you've already built goodwill in your company for the last year, let's say. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, that's not good. I have the domain name. I, bought, I don't know, pens, and I bought other stationery and my social media handles and all this, have my business name, and what am I going to do? And so all that invested money, time, whether you hired a marketing company, can go to waste if you don't first acquire your IP rights in a trademark. So what I would say is, when you're looking to start a company, if you have the money, file the trademark even before you start selling your product or services. And so the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the USPTO, allows you to file a trademark under what's called intent to use, which means that I'm gonna use this in the future. I have good bona fide, I'm telling you under oath that I'm going to use this. And you just file it with them. And there's a process, of course, to actually get the registration. It can take up to a year plus, but make sure you get it on that, you get the application in, so that if ever there's an issue and you're already starting to pour money into your product and your branding, that you don't have some third party come to you and say, actually, no, you can't use this brand name. You can't use this business name. You can't use this logo. You can't use these colors, whatever it might be. Procure your rights up front, talk to a trademark attorney right at the front of the starting the business. So that's it. That's my spiel.
Nice. Well, no, I definitely appreciate that, Lila. We will definitely have the links and information in the show notes. I love that last part because I think so many times people aren't sure exactly when they should take those actions to procure their rights, even like what that process looks like. So even as you said, during the interview, one of the things that you try to do is give people kind of a lay of the land and understand of exactly what they should expect. I think is so important to kind of understand that and be able to have, of course, somebody like yourself that has that expertise, that ability to kind of understand what that process is and be able to kind of take those steps for clients. So I definitely appreciate you for doing that. And again, for people that want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can give us a call at 202-596-2705, or you can email us at info@antareslawfirm.com. Our website has all this information as well if you can't remember it. And we'd be happy to work with you.
Awesome. Again, we will have the links and information and phone number in the show notes. Thank you so much again, Laila. I appreciate it. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. All right. You too. Take care.